Are you ready to choose your destiny and love your life? Today on Awaken and Ascend, we are going to align with the divine with Susan Morrow-Johnson, who's also known as the Mojo Medium and is a destiny coach, joining us today from Houston. Super excited you're here, Susan. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I also love welcoming everyone who's tuning in right now to this. Well, it's, showing up live here, or whether you're watching it on the replay. We'd love to know your comments. Love for you to take part too. Susan, I'm really curious about what lit you on your path.
Oh my goodness. Well, I really, I believe that I'm in the place where I was born to be. But of course, there was a lot of life getting lifey in between, being born and getting to this point. So I'd like to look back at in my early 30s, I was really questioning what are my gifts that are meant to be shared with the world. And I had a job and a career. I was in property and facilities management, which I loved, and I was good at it. But I just was feeling the tug of fate. Are these the specific talents that are meant to be shared with the world? And so I got my answer after about 4.5 years. And that job, I was laid off. And fortunately, I didn't know then that I was a psychic medium. I didn't know that the things that went on for me didn't go on for a lot of people. But I had had a dream about this layoff announcement. And so in the dream, I was really happy about it. So in real life, I felt confident being very happy about it. I knew it was the right thing. And sure enough, that is after a few months, that's when I started my first business, which was 25 years ago this summer. I am celebrating 25 years as an entrepreneur. I know it's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very exciting. So that was obviously that was a very corporate kind of work, when I started my first business doing the same job I'd been doing, but as a consultant and contractor. And again, I loved it until it it went away. I mean, it just business dropped off rather suddenly. The market shifted and I really didn't know what to do. And as I came along from there, I realized that that was how I was able to get out of that industry and become an entrepreneur. And I continued seeking what are my talents that are meant to be shared in service to others.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, somewhere around 2000, 2003, somewhere, I figured that out. Started figuring out that I was a psychic medium, hung out my shingle as a psychic medium in 2005, and immediately started adding coaching into that because it was just a natural extension of readings. It was very difficult for me not to tell people, oh, and by the way, here's something you need to know. And oh, let me teach you how to meditate because you can't do it. And I became quite an expert in manifestation as well. And that whole thing of getting kicked out, like got kicked out from my job. Every time you get kicked out of something, whether it's a job or a relationship, or, if you have to move for some reason, or even if you have a car wreck and have to get a new car, all of that is messages from your soul. That's your soul. It's messages. It's your destiny hollering at you. Hey, this isn't where you're supposed to be. And, every time I've been kicked out my whole life, I've looked back and I thought, yeah, I should have left there about 18 months ago. I got dumped by a 7-year sweetheart. Oh, yeah, I should have left him about 4 years ago, and you can look at it that way. You can look back at it. The problem is when you're in the situation that is past expiration date and you're on your way to getting kicked out, you're not listening, you're not paying attention to what's really going on within you about your destiny, about your soul's goals, about what is next for you. And I want to pause here about destiny and just clarify that. I am not talking about destiny in terms of, oh, there is some supreme being who has determined your destiny and you must fulfill it or else, that's not the way it works. The way it works is the only entity in charge is you. And so you've come into this life with certain goals and ideas, your soul's goals. And the way that that information is communicated to you is through the talents that you have. And what it means to choose your destiny is figuring out what all your talents are, saying, okay, these light me up the most. A, B, C, D, and Z light me up the most right now. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to use those talents in service, not servitude. And that is how you choose your destiny. It's also how you fulfill your destiny, how you accomplish your purpose. And so, over all these years, that's what I've been doing. And having arrived at exactly who I am and what I'm supposed to be, and feeling like I'm completely in alignment with my soul's goals, with my destiny, with my purpose, then I share with other people how to do exactly that. They're not going to be me, they're going to be them, you know? So, Jennifer, you would be Jennifer. And actually, as the soul illuminator, you do something similar, which is something I love. And I'd love to talk about why we get similar results with similar people, but doing different things. So let's touch on that.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I love that you clarified, though, that, about destiny, because the whole topic we're talking about is choosing your destiny, which does imply there's a choice. So it's like, oh, I have a
Yes.
choice over
Yes.
my destiny.
So I've studied a lot about destiny and choice. And I was raised Presbyterian, and in the Presbyterian church, they teach preordination, meaning that your whole life is preordained by God, that your position in life, that your job, that whatever is all preordained. And I have found that that's not really true. What's true is that we have what I call destiny points, which may be events, maybe relationships, that may be what you study, or how you wind up using those talents that you choose to use. But your destiny is never going to be something you don't enjoy. And it's not some cosmic crusade. You don't have to go out and be Joan of Arc because that's what you believe, unless you just really dig the martyr scene. But you get to choose it, and you get to choose from among the talents you have. Those gifts that you are born into this life with, like I said, that is the way your soul communicates with you. And that's how you can look at it and go, oh, wow, I get to be a writer. I get to be an engineer. I get to be this, this, and this, because you choose from among those talents. And that's how that works. But we were talking about the difference between destiny and choice. So there are these destiny points that's what I call them, like where you're going to live, who your parents are, who you marry, if anybody, who your children will be, if any, and some of the bigger things that come along. That's what I call destiny points. But your choice comes in how quickly you get there and how much fun you have along the way. And so you may be coming along your path, and there's a fork. And so you might choose the left fork, which is going to go past a meadow and some butterflies and a lovely forest with fairies. Or you can choose the right fork, and that's going to be on a narrow ledge over a raging gorge. But they're both going to come together at that next destiny point. And so you can see how your choice is important. You get to choose how much fun you have, how happy you are all along the way. And those are the things that we want to maximize, the happiness and the joy.
Yes, let's do that. Maximize the
Mhm.
happiness and joy. And just before that, and it lines up with what you were saying about no matter what path you take, they're still going to merge onto the direction that you're meant to go. And you mentioned about similarities between the two of us and the
Yes.
work that we
Yes.
do and the results we see.
So this is perfect because I just recently, a couple of weeks ago, received one of the divine downloads that I get all the time, which are from my guides, which are from my own soul, which are from the energy of all that is. And that was, okay, start the destiny movement. It's time. So I was like, okay, start the destiny movement. And it got broken down for me into that really simple 5-word message from your soul, which is use your talents in service. That's it. Use your talents in service. Now, that obviously there's a lot more going into that about how to choose those talents and the talents you don't know you have, which really all of my coaching clients discover many talents they didn't know they had. And that's, boy, that's a tangent I can get out onto really well. But use your talents in service again, does not mean servitude. Service means you serve as you are happy to do, and others receive, and you are served also. And every talent fulfilled and used in service to others blesses both the server and the served. That's one of my favorite little things that I say. I'm quoting myself. But then there's also, excuse me, there's also the difference between service and servitude. Okay. So the rest of the 5 words, use your talents and service for money or not. And again, that's something you get to choose to do. I find that most of us can figure out how to make money doing something that we're good at, that we enjoy doing, but you don't have to. You know, if you really, in fact, if you love doing whatever it is your job is, you can always use your talents in service as a volunteer, or just with your own family or your own neighborhood, or you can also make other money doing that. The idea of compensation is a little tricky, because a lot of people sort of believe that if you're doing something that's easy for you, or that is creative talent like painting or singing, then you don't really deserve to make money. And so that's why I say this is your choice. You get to choose whether you want to make money doing what you came here to do or not. And I think that since that is our current way of surviving and of getting things that we want and enjoying our lives, then yeah, if you want to make money, go for making money. So a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients, especially, they will be on the verge of creating their own business, or they'll want to revamp their business to align better with their soul's goals and with their purpose. Oh, so you asked about us doing similar things, getting similar results. Okay. This is so timely. So I've been saying for years, I mean, probably since about 2000, I've been feeling the reemergence of the divine feminine. And I'm not being sexist about this. I'm just saying that we have been out of balance for a very long time, with a lot of, well, bro culture, but also bro marketing and bro business and stuff like that. Whereas, especially around the turn of this century, I was saying, oh, we're marketing differently now. We're marketing in more toward women. And, you know, men are sort of psychologically, biologically, sociologically, and this is a very broad brush, men are sort of wired to provide and protect, and women are more wired to nurture and connect. Right. So that's a very broad brush difference between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. With the reemergence of the divine feminine, we are doing so much more nurturing and connecting. And everybody, I feel like all humanity is being, if not lifted up, then at least given the opportunity to expand their awareness and to be more prosperous and more happy, just happier. And so people like you and I, there are many, many, many of us right now, because we've all come forth in this time to help humanity along with this actual paradigm shift. I mean, shifting from primarily divine masculine, bro culture, bro marketing, create and destroy, into a time when we are all working together more, and we're enjoying being part of a community. We all need it. We all crave it. We all want connection, men and women. Doesn't matter what gender you are. We all, as human beings, we crave connection. And so we're coming into that time now where we are all more caring. Where we will all be more caring, more connecting, more nurturing for one another, and more helpful to one another. And so for me, teaching people to use their talents in service, that is how those people will become part of this new paradigm. And for you and I, and all the other many teachers teaching different things, coaching different ways, using different words, then everybody can be served in switching to this new way of being more prosperous and happier. Does that make sense?
Yes. It
Yeah.
makes total sense, and it actually makes me think of the book that's coming out soon that we both happen to be a part of, right?
Mm,
The Ultimate Guide to Leaving a Legacy. And this is
yes.
how actually everyone that Susan and I met is through this book. And I love it's just a testimony to people coming together and sharing these messages and creating that destiny movement, right? That you talked about. And
Yes.
and for
Yes.
me about co-creating global harmony for my world vision. And yeah, that's what I talk about in that book too, is about leading with
Global harmony.
passion. And the way
Yes.
that I see passion that I shared with you before is that it's when you break up the word is pass I on.
Oh, I love that.
That I being your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime. So imagine leading from that space, leading your life from that space, your community, your nation, your family, yourself, really, your life, right? And then
Yeah.
lighting the path to that profound impact and collective transformation. Because I agree with you, Susan, that it's not so much just about our individual missions anymore. It's how we're nurturing each other and coming in connection with each other, and also to protect and serve humanity in the best possible way for the
Right.
highest purpose and the highest light, right? And
Right.
so I love
But
that we all came
there will be a
together for
lot more,
that.
there will be a lot more sharing. There is already a lot more sharing
Yeah.
and less of I got mine, forget you.
Yeah.
Or less of this is mine and I'm keeping it and you're different and I don't like you. There
Yeah,
will
or
be a
the
lot
threat
less of
that's
that.
inherent in competition. There's a
Yes.
lot more collaboration, which is such a
Yes.
beautiful thing, right? So,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
exactly. There was a word that was coined, oh gosh, in the early 2000s. I don't know if this went beyond my circle,
Mm,
but I did a lot of networking back in the day in
mhm,
Austin. I was very active, and we talked about coopetition. So when the people were, we're in a networking group, and the big group that I was a part of and that I led for 2 years, we did not restrict any industry. We didn't have just one, one insurance salesman, one realtor, one that, we didn't do that. We allowed everyone to come in, and we called it coopetition because the thing is, if you and I are a perfect example. Not everybody in the world can learn from me about this new paradigm, and not everybody can learn from you. Maybe each of us can reach 20 people and help them. Maybe
yeah.
we can each reach 20,000 people and help them, or 200,000 people and help them. But that's not going to help the whole world. That's why we
No.
have so many
And we don't
teachers.
have all the answers either,
And
you know?
that's right.
I'm
Not
still
one of us
learning.
has all the answers. I like to think I
Yeah.
do. But yeah, but that's why we have coopetition. It
Yeah.
is that I'm going to come across somebody who's going to learn better from you, or somebody who just resonates better with you. And
Mm.
that's what's important. And the audiences that we're meant to serve will find us.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you talk about aligning with the divine. Some
Hmm.
people talk about beliefs and reframing those, and some people talk about mindset, and some people talk about
Hmm.
our physical well being, mental, emotional, spiritual. We all have our pieces. So, what helped you become an advocate to align with the divine?
Ooh. As I evolved over the years from psychic medium to coach to manifestation expert to really feeling like I understand the way things work. Um, mm, I've got a little dash of quantum physics in there that makes so much sense to me, and it's so great to be able to put it into layman's terms because I am a layman, and to be able to say, well, this is what's going on, and it really is all about vibration and energy.
Mm,
So that's kind of, I think it was my evolutionary process. I continued to seek, I continued to meditate and receive the divine downloads, journaling like crazy, studying other teachers and other experts and stuff. Although I don't know if I do less of that than I should. Maybe I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I do feel like I was born with a lot of this, a lot of it. I think it just becomes more and more clear that this is who I am.
mm, mhm. And that's such a good feeling to be clear about who you are, because that's a really
Hmm.
big question mark for so many
Exactly.
people, and we go through those
Exactly.
identity crises and,
Yeah.
wondering about
Existential
all of that.
crises.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely had my second solar return, if you know anything about astrology,
Yes.
well, a couple of years ago, and it did lead to a full blown existential crisis,
Mm,
and at the end of and a complete paradigm shift for me personally, bringing me back to really more myself than I've ever been since I was a child. I mean,
mm-hmm,
I am now really that little girl. You know, it's
mm-hmm.
very clear to me. And but the existential crisis didn't change me except to bring me back to being more authentically me. And I think that that's what we do. I mean, I think everybody gets into what they call the dark night of the soul, or an existential crisis, or
Or
a
a Saturn
um,
return or a Chiron
Saturn
return.
return, or
Yeah.
an identity crisis. Especially
Yes.
I think as women, most women, about the time we get into our 40s, and we've spent the last 20 years raising a family, maybe uh, working on a career, both, um, getting married, divorced, and we get into our 40s and we go, okay, what am I really here for? Is this all there is? I mean, have loved doing what I've been doing, or maybe haven't loved doing what I've been doing. What about, when I was a kid, I was going to be a rock star. I was going to be an Olympic gymnast, or I was going to be I was going to be a really the best wife and mother, or I was going to be a journalist. I was going to do, whatever it was that those dreams were. Those dreams are powerful. They are divine also. And
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't have had the idea, the dream to do that if it weren't possible. And that there is in quantum physics, there is I don't know if it's even a theory. There's a concept called the many worlds interpretation.
Hmm.
And that means the many worlds interpretation states, I guess, that hypothesizes that everything is going on at the same time. All this, there is no time. We know that's it's a construct. Um, so if you saw the movie or heard of the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially the many worlds interpretation. And so the idea, when we talk about manifestation in particular, when you think about, oh, I want to have a business that does this, or I want to make this much money, or I want this car, any of that, anything that comes to this idea of, I want to be a rock star, would not come to you if it weren't happening in some other space-time dimension
Mm-hmm.
already. So there's
Mm-hmm.
already Mojo Medium who has changed the world. There's already a Jennifer Regular who has illuminated millions of souls. There that's already there, or we wouldn't even think of it. It wouldn't occur to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if you're not super intuitive or tuned in or getting divine downloads all the time like I am, you can trust that as being, again, that's a message from your soul. I've got this desire to go fishing. Yeah, really? Okay. Well, then it's probably going on somewhere. So if you want to pursue that, you can pursue it. But again, you have the choice.
Choosing your destiny and loving your life. So, Susan, I've heard people, about living the dream, but they say it sarcastically, right? Or I hate my
Yeah.
life, like some of the younger generations, I
Yes.
hate my life. So,
Yeah.
so what inspires people to like love their life? How can we bring that back? That love for
Right.
life, the zest for life, reawakening the wonder, the joy, the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's another saying that's been around a long time. Do what you love and the money will follow.
Yeah.
And that's so frustrating because it doesn't, in practical terms, most people find that doesn't work. You
Mm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
well, I tried to be an actress and I loved it, and I tried for 10 years and I wound up broke and miserable. Okay. So, broke and miserable means you're out of alignment with your soul's goals, and that's something we work on. Um, but bringing the joy back, what I find is, and this is why I do this, when you are using your talents, they feel good to do so that you will do them. Same way that sex feels good so that you'll propagate the species, right? Using your talents feels great. And so if you're doing that, if you choose the ones that light you up right now and you actually use them in service for money or not, you will like your life. It's fun. It's fun to do that. I mean, think about something that you did when you were a kid that you really loved, you know, playing teacher or hide and seek or, oh gosh, all the stuff that I did as a kid. But whatever that was, wasn't that fun? Didn't that feel good?
Mm.
So that's what that's about. And I will just give you a quick caveat about the talents and feeling good.
Mm.
Most of us have at least a couple of talents that are not necessarily meant to be shared with the world. And you can tell by how you feel. So as an example, I like to talk about accounting. I'm very good at accounting. I had a lot of experience in it when I was in corporate. I can whip out a budget variance report, my eyes closed, you know. I can interpret financial statements. I know what that means. I can do a balance sheet. I get all of it. I can also balance a checkbook, and I can, you know, run a 10 key by touch and run up a whole column of numbers. I don't love it. I don't love doing that. I
Mhm.
like being good at it, but I don't love doing it. So that means I don't have to go out and be a CPA. I'm not like required because I have this talent to go and share it.
Right.
That's just for me. So I can glance at our tax returns when my CPA husband, he likes it. When my
Mm.
CPA husband does our tax return, I can take a look at it and go, okay, wait, where'd you get this number? Okay, is that, you know, and I can pick up on things that are askew. So that's just for me. That's also how, you know, when I do have a CPA on staff or when I do have a financial advisor, or whatever, I can understand for me. But I don't have to go and do that in service to others just because I have the ability. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so if you want to enjoy, if you want to love your life, do those things that feel good to do.
Hmm.
And that's how you feel the joy. That's how you bring the happiness. And I tell you what, there is not, I don't think I have had one single client over the years, thousands, who didn't say something like, I just want to help people. It is in our nature. It is human
Hmm.
nature to want to help people. Have you ever watched somebody try to, I don't know, get the lid off a jar and you just
Oh
want to
yeah.
go, here, let me try. Here, I can do it. Here, why don't I do it? Yeah, it's impossible. And that really is, that's just a little tiny example of how we all feel about wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a very selfish person who would say otherwise, but that's what women have been telling me for 20 some years. I just want to help people. Great. What can you do? What are you good at? Does it feel good to do that? Great, do that. And there you go. It's a pretty simple formula, you know, and that's the destiny movement. The whole thing is the 5-word message from your soul. Use your talents in service. Ta-da.
Yes. 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 And so for those who like kind of get that and not
Mhm.
quite, and they want to be able to connect with you, Susan, to learn more or to, put it all together and really go deeper with that, how will they connect with you?
Oh, there's all kinds of ways. The website is mojomedium.com. You can email me at mojomedium@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with me directly or go through the website. But the first thing I would recommend is that you join me for Woo Wednesdays, which is a free forum every week on Wednesdays usually. It's at noon Central on Wednesdays, and excuse me, you have to register for it, but it is no cost. You can do that on the website. And if you join me for Woo Wednesdays, it's an hour. We treat it kind of like one of my 2-hour seminars, which is like if Brene Brown and Esther Hicks had a baby, I'm that love child. So
Oh.
there's a little bit of lecture, or if I have a co-host, I'll do an interview, and then we do some hot seat coaching, Q&A discussion, and I usually can't resist throwing a good news angel card at the end just for fun. So it's a fun thing. We do it for an hour every Wednesday, and I think that's a good way to get started. Good way to get started.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, why don't we put that link in the show notes so that everybody
Okay,
can easily access that
sure.
along with your website and your information, Susan. It's been such a pleasure having you here. So I
Thank
know
you.
people are gonna want some more to
I
find
hope so
you.
too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
look
yeah,
forward to
yeah.
hearing from everybody, and I also have a YouTube channel, and I'm all over social and so forth. So you can find me, and you'll hear from me.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so while we still have you here, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Use your talents in service. That's what you need. That's the
Can't
big message
emphasize
today.
that enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to each and every one of you that have been joining us for Awaken and Ascend. Let us know what you thought of the show. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it and leave your comments. And be sure to check out those show notes. So some interesting links and maybe even some gifts for you.
Ooh,
Susan, thank you so
yes.
much for being here with us today.
And thank you. Appreciate it very much. See everybody soon.
Bye.